Hello, travel biz owner. Welcome to my corner of the travel industry, the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast. If you're ready to have fun, be inspired, get clarity, and take action in your travel business, then you're in the right place. Let's jump in. Welcome back, everyone, to the podcast. I am so excited to dive into my 200 lessons over the past 200 episodes of the podcast. Are you ready? Just kidding. No, that's a lot. We are not doing that. That would probably take forever. But I do want to welcome you to episode 200 of the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast. Da-da! I can't even believe that I'm saying that. And if this is your first episode, welcome. Hello, I am your resident host here. Your resident weirdo, your resident nerd of all things entrepreneurship, Rita M. Perez. I just cannot, I'm in awe as I record this. And I am recording this after having officially launched the cruise content library to the industry. And I guess I'm on a high. I'm in a little bit of disbelief. I just cannot believe it. And I am also in this feeling of, oh my, 200. I cannot. And now some of them are not like, they're not all from scratch, but most of them are from scratch because I don't often do replay episodes. And if they are replay episodes, like those usually they're few and far between here. Like if I do a replay episode, it's usually like a replay from an audio summit, or it's a replay from Prep for Wave Week. Excuse me, as you can see, I'm losing my voice. So it's not often that I do a replay, like never. I mean, I think I hoped back when I started the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast, I would have gotten here, but I don't know. Now that I'm here, I'm like, wow, 200. And so today, not only do I want to kind of just chat about real quick some of the downloads that I've been thinking about, downloads meaning like my thoughts that have been coming up this past week and today, and then just clearly share so much gratitude, because if y'all weren't listening to the podcast, if y'all weren't sharing the podcast, it would not have made it to 200. So this is as much of a celebration for me as it is for you. And I know I've gotten so many really kind messages in my emails, DMs. I see different comments out and about saying that this is your favorite podcast within this industry, or this is one of your favorites, or that you're always tuning in and listening. So huge thank you for that. I have a really quick plug for you. If you have not sent in a rating and a review, because it is really nice that you do send, because I see a lot of 5-star ratings and I very much appreciate that. It would mean even more of the world to me if you could also like put a quick testimonial with your review or your rating. So to add a review to the rating, something that's written down, because that helps boost the podcast just a little bit more when it comes to like rating podcasts on the worldwide scale. So I would so appreciate that if you could write like a sentence or two about why you really love the podcast, what you love about Quirky Me. Maybe you just write down like what your favorite podcast episode is, or what some of your favorite isms that I talk about on the podcast. But it would really mean a bunch to me if you could, let's do a little pause, and go to your podcast player, wherever you're listening. If this is Apple, Spotify, Podcast Addict, Overcast, I know there's a lot of different apps that are out there. And if you could rate the podcast and also submit a quick little sentence or two for a review, I would very, very much appreciate that. Let's see. I'm like, maybe we might do like a fun little giveaway or something. I'm not really sure, but let me know if we can get to 25 reviews by the end of April, I might do a quick little giveaway for everybody that submits a review on their favorite podcast app. So stay tuned. We'll see what happens. I'll keep an eye out, especially like on Apple or some of the other apps there. So, man, I would say that the biggest thing that I've been reflecting on specifically today, and I'm recording this the day before, I don't know what it was about me, but something this morning was saying travel advisors need to stop thinking about themselves as a travel advisor. And I know that feels a little bit counterintuitive, but I feel like when we think of the word travel advisor, and I think when we think of ourselves as like hosted travel advisors, I don't think some people take themselves too seriously. I feel like people are thinking that this gives them an out. And when I say that, what I'm meaning is that you hold back your full potential because you're not thinking of yourself as a serious business owner. And the reason why I was thinking about this is like I'm thinking about certain moves that travel advisors make and like where travel advisors appear and the calls to actions that you make in social media and all that. And I just, not everybody, so please don't take this as a generalization, but I just feel like there's so many people that you're just not, this is like a fun hobby for you. This is not a business for you. And this is not what this podcast was created for. This was created for people who are serious about building a business for their livelihoods, for whatever it is the purpose of making this business was. I also say that acknowledging that one of my core values and core pillars within the podcast is to have fun. And this is a really fun industry. But I also see where there's still a gap where you need to take yourself seriously, where you need to say, and I feel like I might be talking a little bit to myself, even though my livelihood does rely on my business, solely on my business. You need to put the big business pants on. And the thought that came to me was like, not only all this, I don't feel like travel advisors are taking themselves seriously, but travel advisors need to think of themselves more as a financial advisor. Can you feel the difference there? Some of you, and I also do this, I'm like, oh, that sounds so boring. But if you see yourself more as a financial advisor role or equivalent to a financial advisor, I feel like you would take yourself a little bit more seriously. I think that you would carry yourself differently. I think you would do things differently. And that's also so odd because being a travel advisor is a legitimate profession. If you haven't been tuning in, like, you know, I've been having a lot of angst recently, these past couple of months, that I hate that we are still have to justify this profession. I hate that there's still social media posts of why you should work with a travel advisor. And no other profession, at least to my knowledge, no other profession has to do something like that. Like, they might do it occasionally here and there, but I don't think any other profession has to justify their profession as often as the travel advisor profession does. Like, even if I think about other professions in this industry, a tour operator doesn't have to justify why you need to use a tour operator. A tourism board doesn't have to do that. So why is the travel advisor profession still doing that. One, I think it's as a result of it's kind of like the things that we've always done before, and we just need to break that. We need to break out of that stigma and like reframe it. And I've been talking to a couple different travel pros, and I mentioned that in the Marketing Your Cruise business event this week. We need to reframe it instead of justifying your profession as to what does it look like to work with a modern travel professional. And you need to see yourself as a modern travel professional. This is not some fun side hobby, some fun side gig. You might do it as a part-time profession, but it is a profession. And I say that it's a profession because many of you had to pay fees to get into your host, had to pay fees to be a franchisee. You had to pay fees also to the government for your LLC or your business tax license. There's also seller of travel laws that we have to abide by. You've most likely, you better have enrolled in some sort of E&O insurance, because if you're not operating with E&O insurance, you're putting a lot of risk on your business there. You probably have gone to an attorney to draft up your terms and conditions. This is not hobbyist behavior. This is professional behavior. So if you've taken all of those steps to be a travel professional, why are you still acting like a travel hobbyist? Like this is just your fun little side gig you do here and there, wherever about, where you're going to take any little trip that comes by because, $100 cash here, $100 cash there, super fun. No, we are going to think bigger, think greater, think bigger. I want you to think like investors are depending on you and your business to be successful. Like someone has invested hundreds and thousands of dollars into making sure that your business is a success. How differently would you operate your travel business that way? Because when I think of a lot of travel advisors that do play small, it very much feels like there's the Monopoly board and you're playing with Monopoly money, da, 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 da. You're not thinking about all of the possibilities and how to get from this hobbyist mentality to that CEO level mentality. And that's why I say you need to think more like you're a financial advisor, because really you need to think more like a CEO. But I think going from hobbyist to CEO is a very big leap. But I think it's going to be more practical if you can see yourself from a travel advisor to a financial advisor that specializes in advising their clients on trips, travels, vacations, retreats, and the like, whatever it is that you specialize within your travel business. So that is the big thing that I'm thinking about. And I think about these things. I put them out there to communicate them with you. I also communicate them to hopefully like give you a power boost to motivate you to do bigger and better things within your business. And then it also makes me think like, how can I help you get from one mentality to the next? Because we need more serious travel professionals. Because I'm sure there's many of you who are serious about this business and what you are growing, but for whatever reason, it hasn't grown to what you want it to be. And that's because you're still thinking of yourself smaller than what you are. You're still playing on this smaller field, and Rita metaphorically wants to push you off the cliff and be like, you're going to fly. You're going to soar. And if I did push you off the metaphorical cliff, I'm not going to do this. I'm not endangering anybody's safety here. But if I did push you off the metaphorical cliff and said, if you don't figure out to fly, you're obviously going to crash and burn below, what would you do differently? Because you're definitely going to be doing it. If it is survival of the fittest, survival of your life, what are you going to do differently in your travel business to make sure that you survive? Because there's either you're flying and soaring in the canyon, or you're crashing and burning and you're getting yourself wet and cut up all among the canyon and the river and everything that's down below. I know it's an extreme, but we need to think of that in mind, especially for those of us that our livelihoods are dependent on this business. There's no failure. Failure does happen. We can't let failure stop us. We can't let hindrances stop us. We have to keep moving forward because the bills have to get paid. And I also want my dreams to be accomplished. And I also want to work less hours while making more money. But certain things need to be in place for that. And I need to maximize my full potential. I need to be having the right conversations with people in order for this to happen. And I also need to, this is I'm rising in my Aries power, this fire sign feeling. I'm not a fire sign, but my North Node is Aries, and I know I'm talking gibberish to you if you don't understand, but we need to, I'm thinking about right now, I'm visualizing the podium at the Olympics, and there's third, second, and first. And I'm like, there is no second or third. There's only first. And we've got to make sure that we've got to do everything that we can to get to first and be successful. Second and third are kind of like the monopoly money, if we're talking about business. And I'm all about having fun, and I'm all about relaxing and all that. But when it comes to business, there's serious things in business. I mean, I've just talked about the liability. We just had tax day earlier this week. There are serious things that come with business. And so you can't this is not we just can't play around anymore. And so I guess that's the biggest takeaway of all, because again, Rita, who started the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur podcast back in March of 2021, started not even knowing the direction that this podcast would go in. I just knew that I wanted to share my knowledge of entrepreneurship, and I also wanted to share a lot of guest experts with the travel industry community, because I didn't feel like at the time we were having the quality business education like other industries had access to. And I'm so proud of all of and I'm going to share some of the past episodes. I'm not going to share them on here, but I'm going to give you the episode numbers, any guest speakers who might have been on there, because I feel like there's certain cornerstone episodes that are going to be really great, no matter if you've been listening for a while, if you're brand new. Now, of course, some things may have updated since then, because AI is changing rapidly. So take some of the older episodes with just a slight grain of salt, because I know some of the messages that will be in the older episodes are still as accurate as they were back then as they are today. But some things, of course, regulations and things change, but then also people's mindsets. And I'm sure I may have said stuff in the beginning that I may think differently about. So that could have also changed. I'm also going to share some of the very early episodes, and I hope you can tell the differences between baby podcaster Rita back then and seasoned 200 episode Rita now. And I want that to help give you the confidence that nobody starts out as seasoned 200 person like I am right now, unless you have been experienced in a different area before. So, and while, yes, I have done a couple public speaking things before the first episode went out, I've definitely done a lot more since then. So I'm more comfortable speaking, more comfortable talking, and I'm also confident not needing to produce and like edit out as much, because I just want to be here as my authentic self, having a conversation with you, because I hope that this will also help you get more confident in your own voice and sharing your own story with others. So that is my musings and my thoughts from, especially that have been coming up this week. Let's do a top 10 countdown, and then I'm going to do some notable mentions of previous podcast episodes. So I'm going to try and keep this short, but we'll see. You know, I like to chatter a lot. So boom, ba da bum. The most popular as of today, because it's always changing up and you never know which one's going to kind of like soar past and soar forth. But I'm also really proud that like the top 4 episodes here are some of my solo content here. So yay! Because in the very beginning, I did a lot of like guest speakers. And actually, if I look in the top 10, I think there's only one guest speaker, which is, sorry, nerding out here as I look at the stats. That makes me so proud. That makes me so happy, guys, that you love hearing from me and my thoughts, and like also giving you a peek at entrepreneurship, because I really think that that's what makes this podcast different, is that I'm able to be open and honest and like give you a real bird's eye view about what's even happening in my own travel business, even though we most likely share different sorts of business models in the travel industry. And I could be wrong, but I just don't see that happening, and like really focusing on business ownership and business ownership skills and mindfulness and thoughts that you need to have being a business owner and owning a business. So this means a lot to me. So the number, or the most, I don't want to say like number 1, but the most popular episode, these are the top 10 most popular episodes. So at the top of the list is episode 186, How to Make Your Travel Business Your Primary Income in 2025. And that went live January of this year. And I'm really proud that one's up there. That one has almost 800 downloads as of me speaking right now. That is super duper cool, because I know I'm peeling back the layers from back in 2021 when I was first making my travel business my primary income, and kind of like everything that I've learned and everything that I had done back then, and just really sharing how you can make it. And that's a lot of what I'm talking about too, is that if you're wanting to make your travel business your primary income, you've got to think about yourself and your business differently. And I say that coming from someone who is also actively working on myself and embracing that unapologetic me. Now that the cruise content library is launched, you just wait. You just wait for all the things that I'm about to do. Number 2 is episode 152, what travel clients want to see on your social media feed. And I know this gained a lot of popularity from a travel advisor who had shared this at their host agency's conference. So thank you so much, Misha, giving you a shout out here. Thank you so much, because you're the reason I think that this episode is number 2. I was breaking down, there was a recent, at the time, there was a recent survey. I guess survey is the best way, and really mentioning the things that clients want to see on your social media feed. So I was trying to relate that a lot to your travel business. So that's a really, really great one, especially if you're trying to crack the code on social media, which is always changing, by the way. Number 3 is episode 174, How to Set Up Your Travel Business Sales Funnel. This is actually one of the replay episodes. So I will replay Prep for Wave Week episode, or Prep for Wave Week sessions, so that we can get ready right before Prep for Wave Week happens. And P.S. save the dates. Am I really going to? I am going to say this out loud, because I'm going to put this into the universe. So save the dates for September 22nd through September 26th, because we are bumping up prep for Wave Week earlier so that we can have our Plan Your Year workshop earlier so that you have plenty of time to start planning for the new year. I know it's crazy to already start planning for the next year. We're not going to do that yet, but that's going to happen later this year. So just save the dates, make a mental note. But this one, I was really breaking down different ways that you could set up your sales funnel. Because I think, again, that's not something, especially when I was new in the business and even probably not even like a couple years ago, was being talked about in the business about like the exact steps to setting up your sales funnel. Number 4 is I think it's really funny. I have 2 episodes from my lead generation series last year that are up here. So number 4 is episode 143, how to find leads as a family travel agent. And so I know those were really popular episodes because that is one of the biggest things I know that you have trouble with. And I think this is just a general entrepreneurship problem, is figuring out creative ways to find leads. So number 4 and number 6 is episode 146, how to find leads as a luxury travel agent. So it's really cool that those 2 are the ones that are up here on the top 10. I was meaning to do a lead generation series this year with new niches, and I did the content creation series instead. So if you would like to see me do new episodes with new niches for lead generation, send me a message, like email me, send me a text with your thoughts in the show description here. Somebody I had seen had recently written a review that they would love to do some how to find leads as a Disney travel agent, which I'm very open to because you know that I am a local Disney nerd here. So if there are niches, I need to get people who are interested in this. So if I don't hear back from you, it's not going to happen. So I need to hear from you. What niches would you like to hear about to help you really find leads for your own travel niche? And the most popular ones, as long as we get a lot of feedback, will be the ones that I create another lead generation series for maybe later this year. Number 5. So I did 4 and 6 because they're in the same series. Number 5, this is my guest episode, and this was a really fun one because it was just a really great conversation. Sometimes I do a lot of questions back and forth, but I feel like myself and Jen Lee, who is, right now she is christening her beautiful new god baby ship, the Amacintra, in Portugal. So huge congrats, Jen, if you're listening to this episode, on being a godmother, a ship godmother. She is also, and I say I'm like, oh goodness, because she's had a couple different roles this past year, but I believe she is vice president of sales or president of sales. Jen, please correct me. And she's also the chief marketing officer for Travel Planners International and Vacation Planners. And that episode is episode 149, the keys to travel agency profitability. And so that's another great one. When I'm in that headspace of thinking bigger, you have to think profitability with your travel business, because again, if your business is not making profit, if it's not making money, you don't have a business. You have a very expensive hobby. So that's a really great kick in your pants. If you need a kick in the pants, listen to that one, because Jen Lee and we riff off really well together. All right, the number 7 episode, or the episode in the number 7 slot, is 153. 5 essential reframes for a thriving travel agency, which kind of is on par because I was talking about reframing things within your travel agency. So if there's a couple mindset things that you want to work on, I highly recommend tuning into that one for reframing some messages in your mind that's going to help you really build a thriving agency. Number 8, top 136, episode 136, top 5 systems you need in your business. This was a really good, I remember recording this one. I won't give too many spoilers, but if you're kind of like, I need a system for this, I need a system for that. So I'm kind of dispelling some of the systems that you need to run your business. Number 9, episode 164. Alternative ways to be successful in the travel industry. Actually, this is another replay episode. So last year, I started the Alternative Careers in Travel audio summit. And so this features snippets from that summit, which is really cool because I know a lot of us get into the industry thinking like we want to be one thing. And then we're like, actually, I don't want to be this thing. I think I want to be this thing. So it's kind of like an audio career fair of sorts, because this might be it also. Maybe you are not successful in your travel agency or your travel business because you've picked the wrong model, or because you've picked the wrong fit, because you might love to travel, but maybe the agency thing isn't where your magic lies. Maybe it lies somewhere else. So if you've been a little bit curious, that may be a really great episode for you to go back on. And then let me make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Number 10 is episode 169. Overcoming Marketing Challenges, Insights from a Travel Advisor Survey. Now let me open this up because I'm like, what survey was this? I don't remember. I do remember Travel Age West. Okay. So a recent article by Travel Age West mentioned that social media is now the top marketing channel for travel advisors, and it had me a little skeptical. I'm sharing my thoughts on the article and some of the other surprising stats they recorded. So yeah, it's me breaking down another kind of like marketing survey that was out there. So tune into that because I like to put real world things into like case studies into how you can use them for your business, which we're going to break down I'm going to go through a couple of those episodes too. So I pulled a lot of different I think it's 20. I think I have 20 episodes that you may not have listened to before, but I think that are going to be really beneficial just listening. So I probably need to make, I've been thinking about making a new listener resource guide with some episodes. So I may do it just like with the top 10, or I may do it with some of like these that are like really important factors and things that you just need to know about operating a business. So we'll see. Also open to feedback for that. I'm always open to feedback. P.S. I'd love to hear from you on like any ideas that would just help you build your business and be a better entrepreneur. So these are really in no particular order. So you're going to see like episodes from many years ago to most recently. The first episode one of the first episodes that kind of like, if I'm going down memory lane of the past 200 episodes, 84, the 4 phases of the travel business. It's been a while and I feel like I probably need to revisit this episode and re-record it. But if you are kind of feeling stuck and you're not sure what to do in your business, this is a really great episode to listen to figure out what phase you are in the travel business, what are some of the things that you should be focusing on, and what are some of the things that you can be doing to get you to the next phase in the travel business. It was really interesting because I was also reading a LinkedIn newsletter from Lindsay Epperly, who recently moved on from her CEO role at her travel agency, and she's an advisor now. And the 4 phases kind of line up with a nonprofit called Owner that she is assisting with now that helps business owners. And they have 4 similar phases but different. It's kind of like business owner types, and it relates to like what you're thinking about and what you're doing in the different phases. So it made me think about this episode, and I think it's just a really helpful, and I would say this is one of my favorite methodologies and frameworks that I've created over the past couple of years. Then the other one, I feel like this is a mic drop moment, episode 85, why you're not making money in the travel business. This might be a little bit of a nail biter and a little bit of a like, she's going to call me out, but it's probably going to be a really good listen if you haven't tuned into that one before. Episode 112, breaking down the numbers, the real costs of hiring and training in travel. That was probably like a Rita's Rants episode. So if you're new around here, sometimes I get a little bit ranty. And I was getting really ranty about people talking about the prices, or like more like the atrocious prices that they would pay to hire help for their businesses. And so I'm just giving it to you straight what things should really cost, what I would pay for certain things, and also what things should include, because I think some of the prices that are out there for some training things, not all, I think they're a little bit cuckoo bananas. And so I get in there. I give some real talk on my thoughts on that. So if you're wanting to, it's almost like a Rita Unfiltered. If that's of interest, definitely tune into that one. And then there's sometimes like where I'll use like real world examples as case studies, like I mentioned. So episode 108, that was from back in July of 2023 when Threads first got on the scene. And if you remember that, like Threads kind of exploded overnight in popularity, use, downloads, and all that. So I break down a little bit as to why I think it was successful and how you can use the success of Threads and kind of like adapt that for your own travel business, or at least leverage it for your own travel business. Episode 119, I think, is my first AI episode that I ever did. And again, like 2023, I think was the year that ChatGPT first came out and first debuted. So this is a September 2023 episode. And it says, you're using AI and it shows. So I had an AI episode earlier this year. Obviously it was after this one went live, but I think it kind of at least illuminates a couple of the things that AI has gotten better since then, way better since then. So I'll give it that. But there's still some things I think that are relevant from that episode that I can tell if you're using AI if you haven't adjusted certain things. So I call a couple things out of that episode too. I was really pleasantly surprised to know that one of my very first guest episodes was kind of really high up there when it comes to downloads. And that is episode 3, Copywriting for Travel Pros with Emily Matris. Emily is a highly skilled copywriter in the travel industry. She's written copy for my travel agency. I know she's written copy for many other travel agencies. So if you've been kind of like needing a copywriter that specializes in travel agency and writing website copy, and then just copy for anything else that you might need, highly recommend working with Emily because she's fantabulous. Like she does an interview with you to figure out your business, and then the words that she puts together, I'm like, how did she figure that out? So she's just a genius when it comes to that. But that's a really great baby beginner episode 3. So tune into that one. Next up on my list of things that I think you should listen, episode 100. Wow, I can't believe, and that was also on my birthday. Episode 100 happened to be on my birthday 2 years ago. That was the 10 commandments of travel business owners. That one was a favorite one to record, to put together, to write down. Definitely, I feel like this is like all travel business owners should take a listen to that one. Really great listening for you. So yeah, episode 100. Another case study, episode 111. This was when the Barbie movie kind of exploded on everything. If you don't know the Barbie movie, you may have been living under a rock. And I don't say that lightly because Barbie did so much cross-marketing opportunities. So the episode is titled Using Bold Barbie Marketing for Your Travel Business. And I just kind of like not divulge, but I guess I kind of break down a lot of the partnerships that they had, why I think they worked, how you can adapt that for your travel business. It's a really great, and obviously that's a fun one, because if we're talking about Barbie, we have to be having fun. Episode 95, which website is best for your travel business? There was a lot of chatter about websites at the time when this episode came out. So I kind of, again, wanted to just give you my own straight talk, what I thought about certain businesses. I think I do give some recommendations for businesses that you can also use, branding people that I use for my own websites and all that. So if you've been curious and you want to get my real straight thoughts, definitely listen to episode 95 if you're needing a new website. Episode 126, tools you need for media interviews. I recorded this because I was very frustrated that I was doing a lot of interviews, and I still do a lot of interviews, obviously, but there's a lot of professional, like people who have really high positions at companies, travel companies, who don't have really great equipment for doing media interviews. And this can be podcast interviews, this can be television interviews, this can be like just being on webinars and things like that. And there's certain equipment, and it can be very cost effective, but like budget friendly equipment. So I want you to be more prepared than some other people might be, especially if you're wanting to up your game and getting in front of the media. Don't be scared of it. This is something that can really help with the visibility of your business. Another really early episode is episode 4, utilizing your heart set with the Unstoppable Sisters. Now, I don't think that they're doing coaching anymore. I think Logan is doing coaching on her own now. But this is a really great one. I know I've been talking a lot about tuning into your emotions and also tuning into the emotions that your clients may be having. And I think this episode really helps with that, because there's your mindset, there's your skill set, and there's your heart set. And putting those three together to being a really great and effective travel entrepreneur, I think this one's like a warm fuzzies type of episode for me. Episode 86, the 411 on coffee chats. I kind of spill down my coffee chat strategy, what I do, how I set them up, what they are. And so if you are wanting to like have more coffee chats within your business, I definitely would take a listen in on that and just get some tips for running coffee chats. Episode 91. Oh, this was another one. This was another Rita's Ranty episode. 91, what coaching is and what coaching isn't. I have been very mindful of like when I use the term coaching versus when I don't use the term coaching. Because there's certain, like if I'm giving you advice or if I'm giving you education on something, that is not really coaching. That is more consulting. Coaching is something that comes from you. And a coach helps get information and helps get you clarity from yourself. So I break it down a lot more in that episode, so stay tuned to that. But I was feeling at the time, I don't feel it as much now because I think people are being more mindful of the words that they're using, but that the word coaching and the use of coaching was running rampant amongst people who shouldn't have been using the word coaching. I do not call anybody out, but I do call out practices that I don't think were correct when it comes to coaching. So, and I know like that is like a trendy word that everybody likes to use or hear about or learn more about. So just a heads up on that one too. You know, I am also like the LinkedIn queen. I preach all the greatness of LinkedIn. I guess this might be the only episode 62 that I have talked about LinkedIn and how you can use it for your travel business. So I feel like that definitely needs a refresher, but I also now have a mini course called the LinkedIn Starter Kit to help with that and like help build it out. So we might need to revisit this, and I probably also need to update some of the videos inside of the LinkedIn Starter Kit because it's been 2 years, and again, technology is always evolving, and there's a couple of new features and things that are happening on LinkedIn to use. Episode 64, direct mail marketing for your travel business. I feel this is also a topic that I need to talk a little bit more about, and improving your client experience and going the extra mile. So I'm sure that I talk about a certain technology and how even I got started with direct mail marketing. And I say direct mail, it's not email, it's a physical mail. Maybe I should say it like that. It's physical mail that you send to your clients. So birthday cards, holiday cards, anniversary cards, passport reminders, and things like that. It is just something tangible in the mail, and not a lot of people are doing this. And I did talk a little bit about this at the Marketing Your Cruise Business event this week too. Episode 78, we got a couple more episodes to go in some of my recommendations. Some of you know that sometimes I will work at my local theater whenever like Broadway style shows are in town. I will work them, and actually I will be working The Lion King that's coming to town next week. And so I had a couple sales thoughts after working my first show at the theater, and why I think like just sales are crazy bananas there. And again, how you can relate that to your travel business. If you don't catch a trend, I love relating real life or in other industry experiences to how you can use that for your travel business. Episode 9, is your travel biz legally legit, with Tom Carpenter. I love Tom. He's an attorney, but he is also a travel advisor. He runs his own agency. He just has so many really great insights when it comes to running your travel business legally and all those parameters. So definitely think that's a great one. I'm hoping to have him back for Prep for Wave Week this year. So fingers and toes crossed. Episode 48, somebody else who I admire and love in the industry. And just because there's so many people that have been guests on here. And because I'm not going to go through all 200 episodes. That'll be a lot. But please know, like, I wasn't like picking favorites or anything. I was just picking things that I think are really relevant. And so episode 48 is with Angela Hughes, growing your business with courage. I think that's another like really great mindset episode there, and motivational boost episode. Angela Hughes runs the luxury travel social media Facebook group. I'm not sure the exact name. It's a really long name. There's over 50,000 people that are in that group right now. And moreover than her running that, she just is a savvy business owner. And so we both kind of peel at the layers. And so this is also like a very personal episode for both of us that you're going to hear about. So highly recommend that one. Episode 8, this is a really practical one. Starting your virtual live show with Shannon Cunningham. Shannon Cunningham was a travel advisor, and now she works with Gifted Travel Network. And around this time when we were recording, she was still a travel advisor doing some live shows, and she just had so many like tips and tricks. And I bring this up because at the Marketing Your Cruise Business event, Seth Wayne, founder of Sail with Seth, mentioned that he does a lot of live shows, Facebook Lives, to promote his travel agency, and he runs a very successful cruise business. And so that's why I wanted to bring this one up, because I just thought it was really relevant to the conversations we were having earlier this week. Oh, did I do 2? I think I did 2. I didn't realize this. So, no. Oh, I did. Okay, so I mentioned episode 4, the 4 phases of the travel business. And then there's episode 46, the 4 phases of being a travel entrepreneur. Oh, I'm not sure what the differences are in here. It sounds like I just did a high-level overview in episode 46, and episode 84, I think I got more into the nitty-gritty of the different levels. So yeah. All right, look at that. Maybe I have done. Okay. So just throwing another one out there. Episode 46, the 4 phases of being a travel entrepreneur. Episode 17, strategizing with your supplier BDMs with Beth Dean Pope. Beth Dean Pope, I don't believe she was working with Hurtigruten at the time. She's now doing a lot more on like space travel, space tourism side. But she gave some awesome tips. Like, I feel like this is something that we overlook. This also came up in a conversation with Seth earlier this week about strategizing your business with your BDMs. So if you're kind of like, I don't even know where to start, definitely tune in to this one. Like, you're getting a lot of like business basics, but also advanced business tips here. Episode 24, branding photos for your travel business with Andrea Dela Cruz. Like, I love Andrea is the branding photographer that I use for a lot of my brand photo shoots. This gives you like so many tips on having a professional photo shoot. This is something that I'm actually working on for Summer Camp at Sea, to be able to like hire somebody either to come on board with us or to hire a photographer in one of the islands to have a professional photo shoot. Because you need to have updated and current photos of yourself, especially if you are going to be active on social media. If you're going to be active in digital marketing means, you just have to have updated photos. Do you have to? I guess you don't have to. It just looks much better on you if you do have updated photos. I mean, I know lots of corporate executives who their photo is outdated by 10 years. And I'm like, what the heck, man? Like, you out of anybody definitely have the budget to do this. So lots of tips on prepping, planning, and getting comfortable for taking brand photos. Episode 49 is with one of my really close and dear travel, or not travel related, but one of my business friends, business colleagues, mentors. Her name's Ina Coveney. And we talked about getting clients first. That's what the episode is titled, is getting clients first. Because I think we think of all the other shiny, cool things that happen in our business, and then we forget, oh yeah, we need clients to fund the business. And so really just getting back to basics on how you get clients first. And then last but not least, because it was tax week earlier, episode 25, accounting for your travel business with Jerry Ann Cook. I actually use Jerry Ann's and her husband's services at Sunstone Bookkeeping for my tax accounting every single year. They are really great to work with. I was not working with them at the time that this episode was recorded. And then the business got too big for me that I needed somebody else to handle that. But I just think, especially when we're thinking about accounting for your business, definitely a good one to tune into. Also, really great friend of the podcast and just friend in life. Her name is Stephanie Cannon. She's been on the podcast plenty of times. I think we're going to record an episode soon about accounting and bookkeeping technology for your business. So stay tuned to that. We've been chatting a little bit about that because guess what? The Travel Tech Audio Summit is coming again. It is my little celebration for Travel Advisor Day that's happening on May 7th, 2025. I know Asta does a lot of stuff that day, a lot of lives. And so I decided that I was going to, this was going to be my little gift every year. This is going to be the 3rd annual one. And I am so stinking excited to bring this to you. It is available now for you to sign up. It is free. I am hosting some AI workshops, so you can add those. Those are paid workshops, but you're getting a really great promotion if you add it onto your registration. If you have already previously signed up for seasons 1 and 2 of the Travel Tech Audio Summit, you should have gotten an email a couple weeks ago with the new feed, because I'm putting all the seasons together in one feed now. The feed does not live here on this podcast. It lives on its own podcast feed. So you do have to sign up for it to gain access to that. But I am so stinking excited. Let me see if I can pull some of my speakers for you so that we can share the love, because I have most of the speakers secured. There's one that I'm still waiting on. But this year, you will hear from Nikita France, who is the founder of Travel Agent Collective, a marketing technology. You'll also hear from VP of Operations Crystal Aziz and CEO Tim Evans of Trazzle, a CRM that I'm really excited to share with you about. Akiva Reich is the founder of Feel VR. It is a virtual reality that can kind of cut your hotel inspection time very much little, and maybe you can even shorten the need for even having to do on-site inspections with the technology that they're bringing forth. We have Armand Bimitov, who is the founder of TravelWits. It is an AI technology. I won't really get into it that much because it's a lot. So we're going to talk about AI, but we're also going to talk about his technology and how it uses AI to help you book more travel for your clients, really is what it comes down to. And then we also have Andrew C. I hope I don't mess up his name, Fowers. He is with Shaka Guide. And so I know some of you may have heard of Shaka Guide in the summer selling series from last year. This is going to be a really neat piece of technology that you can use for your clients who are wanting to do road trips around the States, especially since I think maybe domestic travel may be in bigger demand this year and coming up in the future. There is also another technology that I'm working with. So we haven't secured them just yet. So I don't want to spill the beans, but just a heads up, there may be one more speaker that headlines that. So please go ahead, sign up now, join us. I cannot wait for you to be here at the Travel Tech Audio Summit that's launching in just a few weeks. All right, that is it. Wow, this was a mega episode. I'm just looking at the time now. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean for it to be this long, but I very much appreciate you being here, coming down memory lane, listening to all my thoughts about everything entrepreneurship, doing those ratings and reviews. I could not be more. This has been an amazing ride, and I cannot wait to serve you even more for the next 200 episodes, because yes, we're going to do it. All right, see you in the next ones, everybody. Bye. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today. Remember to check out the show notes for all relevant links and resources from today's show. See you next time.